Welcome to GameBreakers. My name is Thomas. I am here with... Everybody say your names at once.
Diamond!
ClickClack.
You're killing me, David. Allison, Diamond, and David are here with me, Thomas, playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. This is our game, A Bard's Tale. When last we left our intrepid heroes, you were knighted by Baroness Beatrix Merryward of Duglimmer Vale, now also the mistress of Bloomhaven, the new territory that you conquered, or at least drove the giants out of and claimed for the Vale. You were granted knighthood, had begun to settle into your, what seems to be your new digs, at least for a minute. And as everyone was settling in and beginning their rest, Struana wandered up for the view to the top of the flower petal and pistil stamen tower that had grown where once the crooked tower stood. And at the top found the Baroness herself weeping over the discarded tokens of her affection that were sent to your friend Unvilla Mosrock, Unvilla the Betrayer, who engineered this whole thing, apparently, and seems to have disappeared. And then, because of technical difficulties, we cut abruptly. So we will zoom back in to the tower at the center of Bloomhaven, the stronghold around which armies are arrayed, resting and preparing celebration feasts. To the top of the tower, overviewing it all from far, far up. Diamond, we've got Struana Hardjaw and Beatrix Merryward. She is now full-on just sobbing into your shoulder.
So comforting, like, not so mechanical is there, but that's about the emotional capacity Diamond has right now. So actual, like some friendly comforting, and like, what do you mean you shouldn't have trusted a Darkling?
She is wailing with passion that only a Fey creature could. I mean, just like long, hulking sobs, great, just like shimmering tears. She's really into this good cry.
Awesome, I'm learning.
Between sobs, she manages to kind of sob out the story of them, which over about a 15-minute period boils of, which I'm not going to subject our dear listeners to. Over this period, she essentially lays out the story of her romance with Unvilla long ago in the court of the Queen of Summer and Light. She, a visiting provincial baroness, and he, part of the entourage of a visiting unseelie diplomat, had an unlikely frolic and passionate romance that apparently was just all part of some court intrigue. And didn't actually mean anything to him. And that realization at this moment with the discarded tokens is what has brought her to that conclusion and to this emotional wreck that is performing catharsis on your shoulder.
I'm going to try to calm her by telling her a story, an appropriate parable from the human worlds about how, with the ultimate goal of your subjective experience is still valid.
Okay, give me a dice roll and a quick, like, dramatis personae and plot synopsis of your story.
When all you've got is a hammer, every problem's a nail.
I have 2 hammers.
And there's so many nails.
That's great. I'm sorry. Quick plot synopsis is 2 siblings who end up having to go very different routes in dealing with the same shopkeeper in a small village. And one is stealing and the other one is giving back. And both have, but they have a strong relationship to each other. One person can be a thief and still be somebody you love. The other person can be a snitch and still be somebody you love, is the way that story gets to it. So you have 3 characters, maybe a bird.
Okay.
Am I just giving you a straight charisma check or a performance?
This will be performance. You're telling a story.
Lovely. So that's 36. 37.
Wow.
Epic. And I mean that not in the casual pop cultural way. I mean you have crafted an improvisational epic, a very very small, intimate 3-character, perfect like emotional moment. Just 3 scenes, 1 setting, very very little dialogue, and just like nailed it.
I love the addition of maybe a bird and maybe a bird, because we need something we can merchandise.
More because you can tell stories, I think, through the through animals and through objects just as well as you can through people. My favorite Grimm's fairy tale is the juniper tree. Look it up.
The twist at the end was the bird was the narrator, and as she is finally just like takes her last heaving sigh and calms, her tears just dry all the way up, and the pool of them just flows out onto the balcony and forms into the peacock, the bird of the story, and flaps off on its way. Leaps off the tower and flies. There's a rainbow over your story, rainbow to the Feywild. Like
I'm a little jaw drop. Like, man, I didn't see that coming. This is great. Like,
Merryword has a little more composure now, and she's like, "Oh, you shouldn't be so surprised. You're a knight of this domain from the mortal realm. Your dreams, your stories, your adventures here will shape the domain itself. That's really what I've given you. This place, it reacts to your dreams."
Very internally having this like enormous explosion of, I can do what now? And externally, like, that's amazing. I hadn't grasped that. Thank you so much. And inside, just like, you know,
she senses your joy, and is touched by it. She, like that is like she tells you, like, that is exactly why I gave it to you. I am Fey. I am an archfey. I am measured by what I inspire. And your inspiration gives me more of what I am. You and your friends will shape this place just fine. You all are, in your own way, already spreading the Sealy quartz influence. There's no instructions for this. Dreaming. This place is already partially yours. Now, go rest. Have a dream. See what happens. Meanwhile, I must fly to the Summer Queen's court to register my new victory. And she just like wipes just the last little glint of a tear from her eye, and steps off to the balcony, turns over her shoulder, says, "Enjoy the celebration. I'll see you soon." And hops off, flaps her wings, and in just like a flash of dust, sparkling fey dust, disappears. Everybody else finds a really cool set of rooms. It's all very nicely apportioned. Trella offers you any, like, pick your favorite. I've got the one upstairs, I guess, so... I mean, you also have yours down the way, and she gestures down the courtyard across the garden to where the sort of flower petal shaped walls meet and shape around the adamantine instant fortress that was Stan's weapon of victory, and also his potential new home. And you guys, as she gestures, like, you see a peacock fly out of the top and fart out a rainbow, and like the crowd below, there's a little cheer. Music starts to go up, and you're insulated from the noise, but just like there's a general rhythmic beat that you can feel in the ground and hear from outside, even up in this secluded area. What do you guys do? You have a chance to rest, recuperate.
We haven't slept, right, since the battle?
No.
I'm going to look around the tower briefly for a sign of Unvala and then go back down.
No trace.
The two of us are getting some rest. And if there's time after a full night's rest, there is stuff I would like to do, but we might get interrupted, I don't know. But I'm sleeping first.
Step 1, long rest. Spend hit dice. Yeah, where do you sleep? Where do you crash out in one of the rooms that Trella offers you? Okay. You are afforded an epic rest. You get a long rest in 1 hour.
Oh, fantastic.
Where do you bed down, Stan?
Yeah.
Trella, what room are you in?
There we go.
Yeah.
She says, "Oh, I'm in the top room, but I outrank you now."
You want company?
I'm a knight bachelor right now, and you just a knight errant. That means you have to take me out to dinner first. I'll see you after you're cleaned up.
He'll
and a pair of clippers.
he'll wave goodbye and then go into one of the rooms in her place that is not hers and sleep.
Okay. Again, also an epic rest. This place affords you 1 hour, full benefits.
Excellent.
I
go drink.
Okay, and then you go drinking?
Yeah.
Okay. That is really easy. It would be hard not to, in point of fact. You all are like, it's not like it jars you awake, but the first thing you're really aware of is it sounds like there's a parade down the block. Like there is just like a rhythmic thumping of drums and different patches of music that are interweaving cheers and yells and people talking and voices and shouts and slapping of flesh and thudding of hooves. It's hopefully everything is cool down there, because otherwise it's a riot. And it is. You see that it's a giant party. Right. You guys all have, balcony windows that look out into it. You're all able to like see each other on the balcony as you wake up. There are fresh clothes for each of you in the wardrobe set into the room, perfectly sized. By fresh, I mean like fresh. Like these are clothes with colors that will jump out and bite you. These like beautiful, well made, highly functional, but also clearly Feywild fashions. But
I don't like any part of this.
It's actually like it's personalized in a way. It is like yours is very mathematical and straight lines. I mean, it's still hard contrasting colors, but there's a sense to it to you, ClickClack, that might not mean anything to anybody else.
What would it function as camouflage? Because I'm a ranger.
In the Feywild, it might. There's lots of different contrasting shades of like greens and vibrant browns.
You're sort of Art Deco.
Like, there's no one in my room but the crab, but you like still out loud he just goes, "Fine."
Stan, same thing. Probably a symbol of Moradin prominently displayed somewhere, if that's your choosing.
Yeah. That on. That's like fine clothes. So I wouldn't be wearing my armor.
That's up to you.
Yeah, I don't know.
You feel safe?
Oh, I do. If I have to wear this instead of my armor, I'm not wearing it.
No, not necessarily.
I figured it was like an over thing or some. Yeah, I'm not going without armor. I'm too paranoid.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my armor too. Who knows what's gonna happen? This is the Feywild.
In that case, there are some functional tabars and heraldic overcoats of similar styles and description. Like it's exactly the thing you need.
All right.
If there's time before the plot thickens, I would like to get some engineering done in the morning.
Okay. Right. By the time you get to the balcony, you're already tinkering with something. Struana, what do you got on?
I think this stuff looks really cool. So I want to try but most of my armor pieces are relatively small, like the leather armor and the glamorous studded. Yeah, or no? Yeah. So I'm gonna try and mash these two things up, and then use the glamorous studded armor to make it look to accentuate the pieces.
It works perfectly.
And then I am also good. And then I'm also good. You said that twice. Now I'm creeped out. And then I'm also going to drink and try to find an epic feast and start telling stories.
Okay.
get
for the
very
clothing,
excited.
you're the one that has a key piece of information. Like, it crosses your mind. It's like, God, this is exactly how I would have dreamed it up. And then you're like, oh, this is exactly how I would have.
Right.
Ah,
Right, that thing I remember now.
Part of me totally has this voice that's like, you know, you're just gonna go crazy and sit in a corner and just tell stories all day. So watch that line, girl. You watch that line.
You were probably going to do that anyway.
Yeah, but not this early.
Life has its own schedule.
So on your balconies, all of you like getting sort of put together in the morning, and your early day tinker and your first cup of whatever strong, looking down. It's clearly a party atmosphere. I mean, it's started to have like multiple areas, a large scale of party. You can see over to one side there's feats of strength and centaur team sports and hags and trolls and ogres and things competing with giants and treants and large creatures and feats of strength, rock throwing, tumbling. The centaurs seem to have some sort of like solo couples and team sumo competition, basically, like just a giant scrum, and first one out of the circle loses. Like you can see large scale games of this going on with mixed combatants. Over to another area, the music is more concentrated, and you see sparkling lights above the areas. Like it's much more festive, although the details, it's less like, you can't, from your vantage points, you can't see like large opposing teams or anything doing anything like you could in the other area. And at the heart of it all, you can see just the barest hint of a detail of some kind of building. Right about where you guys were holding down the melee with the giants at the gate.
Oh, really? Well, that sounds interesting. That sounds like an interesting thing to investigate as I party my way there. What's that?
Well, that is the first thing you would, if you go down the road that is now like a gentle slope down a nice soft green grass hill, whereas it was the craggy back and forth. It's the first thing you get to, and as you approach, it starts to get a little more detail. And by get a little more detail, I don't mean you can see it more clearly. I mean, it starts to take on more detail, as though it were originally painted by an impressionist, and is slowly gaining definition as you draw near. When you get there.
Interesting.
Right, unless you flee at that realization. When you get there, it is surrounded by various important-looking people. You recognize the centaur referee that you met before, whose name I currently forget, but he's in attendance. Other like a few hags that look more weathered than the others are there. Large, just swaths of pixies that seem to float around a single, more brightly glowing pixie, as though they have a cloud as an entourage, and a few other folks that, as you come down, begin to raise a cheer. Trella joins you on the trail, by the way, as you're coming down. She sees you on the way through. And they begin to raise a cheer, and as you come around the corner, there is just like around the building. It's an inn. It's right now a fairly simple structure. You turn the corner and there is a sign hanging off the front, and Struana, the first name that pops into your mind from the inn that you had explored making in
the Minty Rose.
The Minty Rose. As you look at it, it forms into a stylized like minty rose with a batch of roses hanging off, and actually, like, while they are part of the sign, they give off a scent.
I am kind of terrified now.
Snailroot is there to greet you as well, by the way. He is looking healthier.
I certainly hope so.
Snailroot, glad to see you in better health.
Are we with her for this, or is this just Struana?
Unless you guys, I mean, you guys all had time to sort of go and do that, or like get yourselves ready. Would you have gone down together? Anybody staying behind?
I would have gone with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't split the party.
Yeah, Trella joins you. Snailroot is with you, and the heroes of the day.
You as well.
You were battling this before we showed up. I think you can call yourself a hero as well. I lost my bottle opener.
I don't like this dream thing, folks. It's a ticking clock until we Stay Puft Marshmallow this place.
See, this is the same sort of thing I've been thinking. I just decided I'm going to try and, like, do the social politeness first and then experiment.
Well, how about we go Falcor first before we go Stay Puft?
No, it's the what you don't want to think about, and then.
Well,
but ClickClack, wouldn't it be amazing if I had an inn?
I was saying that out of character.
Oh.
Hence the Ghostbusters reference.
Right. I don't know. Have you let them know? Have you filled them in on this? Have you given them
I didn't know if we knew that in character yet.
The heads up in character, Struana? Or
about the no, not yet. I think we were just going forward on the like, oh, let's have fun.
Right.
Fun thing.
So this is sort of the second manifestation now that the other two have seen of like, what the, like, how is
Why is that a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Per usual, we have to talk once the festivities are over. I need a bottle.
More drinking.
If we've learned anything thus far, it's that the festivities are never over here.
That is a fair point.
Treeroot chuckles or Snailroot chuckles. As you guys are sort of gathered around the front there, he sort of like pulls over to the side with ClickClack and says, May we speak for some time?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
Was that it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. He's sort of like heads over to the side and back around to the back where there's a little more privacy. I can answer more questions now than I could in the heat of battle about all of that soul business.
Right.
Let me start with a metaphor. Imagine souls like money. This, in a way, is how the gods think of them. It is the worship of a soul that gives gods their scope of power. And our actions in their name make a difference in the heavens and the hells. So, you have a coin that is a soul, and perhaps it is a penny, or perhaps it is a crown. But it is valuable. A soul can increase or decrease its worth. Most souls are minted. That is, they are stamped with a face that gives it value. And that face is the god that benefits from this soul's actions. Sometimes there are a few, sometimes dedicated to one, but even just working towards an ideal feeds a god's domain. There are, however, rare blank coins. And while valuable, just as any raw silver piece, they are not bound to one nation's currency. In fact, they are outside it completely. Your raw soul matter is bound not to the heavens, but to the material plane. And when it is parted from the mint press that is the material plane and comes out blank, it is sent back and recycled into the material plane again, rather than as other souls pass along into another realm where they are given some just reward. I hope it is not bad news that I give you, ClickClack, that you are never bound for a heaven.
I didn't believe in one to begin with. I knew they exist. I've talked, I know the gods exist, but
you could.
Now I know why it never concerned me.
You could never imagine serving one or another on purpose. I must tell you, ClickClack, that from what I know of your tales and your actions in this battle, you do give to gods who represent bravery and courage, cunning and ingenuity, and the forces of nature, those that I serve, Elana.
If I do, it's a side effect.
Yes, exactly. But all choices have consequences, and it is the celestial mechanics that balance the meaning of that. It does mean, as you've witnessed, that you have a special relationship with the soul economy. Your soul cannot be trapped. Not now. You could never become like that poor wretch in the hag's soul bag. Such a feat, even if you were so evil as to be able to fall into such a hag's clutches. It would simply fail. Your soul cannot be held. It shall never be bartered with. You are not on the market, to expand the metaphor. You are, in a way, exactly the opposite of your friend Stan, whose soul is tightly bound to his god.
He's also very tall.
Is he? Says the huge Triette.
Well, everything's relative.
Indeed. You too, ClickClack, cast a long shadow. And do you have your insight book on you?
I have everything on me.
Okay. You
I don't
necessarily have the proficiency yet. But even you don't have the proficiency in insight yet. But you clearly get the sense, like kind of emanating from the book, that is a deep compliment from a tree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
I hope I can answer it.
What happens to souls that are banked?
Well, that depends on in whose vault they lie. If a soul is trapped like the one you encountered, it may be traded. Demons desire them. They can gain worship no other way. But by trapping such souls for their own, they seek to elevate their level to that of deities. They can be used to fuel powerful magic, including that cauldron that you recovered with the bag.
What of the souls stamped with the mark of a good god?
They head to their just reward. If they upheld their own principles, there is a place where they may enjoy what they have made for themselves. It is peaceful, I'm told. Most souls are not so distinguished as to maintain their shape as they pass through into the heavens. And so they become part of the general fuel of goodness or law or chaos or evil.
A a bag of copper added to the pile.
More like poured into a smelter.
Fair enough.
To be forged back in the mint and perhaps gain more value than they had before. I will be happy to answer any questions you think of.
How common are incidents like the bag I found?
Oh, many hags know the workings of creating them. It is one of their specialties. There are other ways to capture souls as well. Powerful magics.
I have to keep a lookout then. Is there anything else I should know?
On this matter, I hope I've given you everything I can. If you think of anything else to ask, I'll be right here. And that leads me to a favor I would ask of you. One of his branches reaches into the sort of, empty, gnarled branches, winter tree branches, and pulls down the satchel that he had been using to spread seeds and plant trees to make soldiers for the battle. And he lowers it down, dangles it in front of you. I will sleep through this transition phase of the domain. I have not been Seelie in quite some time. I think I would like to try it, but it will take some time for me to bloom. I would like, if you do not already have one, to create a space for you and Lovelace that is your own. Tell me, how large an area should I dig under my roots? You strike me as a man.
He takes longer to process this than I want to take up in the feed.
Right.
It's a pregnant minute as you just see the gears clicking away, and I've been mounted this whole time because we're traveling. Yep. And he just turns around in the saddle and digs out and holds out what looks like the schematics for the bat cave.
A branch comes down and plucks it out of your hand and holds it in front of his giant mushroom featured face and says, "You struck me as the sort of person who carried a workshop blueprint with them. This will do." And he sort of leans down and with his root feet just burrows out a section and sort of settles in, and it will take a moment for me to really bind the walls together. It's not safe yet. By the time I go to sleep, it will be. But while I sleep, I would ask a favor for you. Of you. Many Many of my brothers fell in this battle. I have already visited the Grove of Remembrance and given my grief to the pool. But if I am to bloom, I must focus on new growth. And to do that, I wish to see more of my brothers rise in these hills, to hold the earth together and provide good soil for the flowers that will spring up in the ashes. That satchel, if you would take it along on your journeys through this land, and put in your footsteps the trees that you think are appropriate for the land. I trust you to make good choices. You are a knight of Bloomhaven, as I suppose now am I.
And Lovelace, I believe.
Yes, Madam Knight. You are looking quite hale and hearty. Your family is welcome to stay here in my roots, well, any time, even when you are away. He says to Lovelace.
She salutes. With a, like, clack.
And he his eyes begin to droop, and he looks a little drowsy. He says, "The music seeping into the ground won't do me good. I have been dark and terrifying for so very long. I am nearly ready to sleep, ClickClack, unless you had more questions." And as you shake his head, there's sort of that wooden creak of a tree settling, and the mushrooms sort of close, and now they look less like features of a person and more just like growths on a tree. And there is a massive, right now, not Mandrake, the other one that starts with M.
Manticore.
Nope, you're killing me. Mangrove. There we go. The swamp tree. Massive mangrove. But even that, like, you see that it's got less and less features as a naturist. You're seeing that the definitive features of a mangrove are starting to sort of get less definitive. There might be smudging into something else. And he sleeps.
To my treat.
I kind of look at my crab, like, not sure what to do right this second.
Well, then she just takes you in to, like, peek under the roots. You know it's not safe, but you can see that there's, like, the perfectly spaced structure underneath it.
Yeah, I'm not going to disturb it yet. I know better than that.
Well, then she just takes you around to the front. During this conversation, by the way, Stan and Struana, I assume, have been headed into the Minty Rose.
Oh, you're dead.
Like, I am... Struana's working really hard to, not let herself get as gleeful about this as she really wants to, because, you know, when you're face to face with the, like, thing you're working for and building towards, and it just showed up, you really want it, and trying to figure out how I could, like, will this just stay here? So, I mean, I can connect, like, the real one in our realm to this one, and putting her brain on that problem instead of being all, like, problem solving instead of, oh my god,
Well, I'm not sure how well you keep your composure once you open the door and it is point for point blueprint like that you had dreamed up in your head when you were taking breaks and naps in the library. Tell us about it, Struana. It's empty right now, like it was waiting for you before the door would even open.
So the classical tavern with classy touches. Many different kinds of hardwood, many different kinds of leather. Like it's very colorful, even though it's all sort of in the same tone inside. Some of large group tables, but mostly like smaller, like 2 or 3 seater tables. A gorgeous bar with like these stained glass, lovely stained glass designs just above the bar in a way so that light from outside actually shines into the various lovely bottles up there. And there's an upstairs and a downstairs, and I haven't gone to them yet, but they're in the same sort of area and somewhat behind the bar.
I assume there's a stage.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, there is a fantastic stage with so many different lighting options, with all of these little great nooks and crannies for all, I know this craft. It's got all of the stuff that you need for this craft. It's got a backstage area that is large enough, but not overly large for performers. And throughout different areas of it, there are these sort of standing cases, and there are obvious spots on the walls where art will be. We have to curate the art. And these standing pillars for the curios, and 2 wall shrines, I guess. We were having this conversation a while ago about essentially there being this way that people can get you give $1 to the shrine, and maybe you get blessed with luck. It's a random chance.
It works perfectly here. Also, there's a bartender. What do they look like?
I hadn't half elf. They're delicate features, but the more roughness of human, exactly what you'd expect, but the same kind of red hair I've got. Same sort of braid thing happening.
Stan, you saw the bartender before she did. It was not that until she looked at it.
I went right to Cate Blanchett, but not in Lord of the Rings.
That's good, because that's terrifying.
Real life Cate Blanchett was my first thought, and then I realized, oh wait, she played an elf in that one thing.
All right, Stan, before you, there was sort of like a semi-transparent mass that was washing a cup, like cleaning out a bottle or cleaning out a mug, the standard thing, like when you walk in on a bartender that they're doing. And when she looked, that just filled out.
Not at all creepy.
But I don't know that you guys
you're the primary storyteller here, Struana.
I really want it to be real. Oh, Stan, I really want it to be real. This is what I'm trying to build in the town. This is what I want it to be like.
What's not real about me, says the bartender. If you wanted to get any realer, you can do the auditions for the troops that are coming in over the next God only knows how long this party's going to last. You want to do the stock inventory too? How real do you want it? Oh, good. A sassy bartender.
Yeah. Shit, that's exactly what I want. Damn it.
Hey, for now you're the big hero. Drinks are clearly on the house. What do you want?
The one with the frog in it.
There wasn't one with a frog in it until you said it, and now there is. Just like waiting at the bottom, live, looking at you like big, wide pupils.
We got you guys. You guys have got it. There's I'm making a Scotch reference.
Right, the Feywild doesn't know Scotch.
That's right. The one with the frog in it.
And as you walk in and start drinking, suddenly it's like the open sign, the open light went on in the bar, and people just begin flooding in. And by people, I mean some of the weirdest crap you've ever seen. There are minotaurs, centaurs, all dressed, crazy, just everything, just every shape and color of Fey that you can imagine. Mobs of pixies just all over the place. Every floating dishes from just like pixies flying around them and tossing them place to place and catching the food that's on them. Like it gets chaotic real fast. Well, you two are the hero of the moment, and this is what you walk into ClickClack after the conversation with Snailroot. Putting the wild in Feywild.
Come enjoy it.
I scuttle over to Struana. This is exactly what you want, isn't it?
Yep, that's apparently a thing I get to do. Sorry.
No. Stan, do you have a fortress?
I grab ClickClack, the version of La Croix that exists in here, and hand that to him.
He takes it, but his hand is shaking so much it's empty now.
Yeah, the fortress is still up next to the tower.
Has it changed?
No.
We haven't checked it out.
Oh. So I haven't been in there. It's probably fine.
Right, you used it as a weapon and then didn't go inside.
We should go investigate that right now. It'll be fun.
But there's all this drinking that's going on.
And Trella immediately cuts in and she says, and he's on a date. And then starts to corral Stan off to a corner table in one of the nooks by the stage. I
call after them. Let me know when you want to go look at your fortress.
And that'll be an excellent place to take a quick break as we ponder the ramifications of what you've been quote-unquote given. If you like what you see, hit like. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. And if you want it to get better, hit up our Patreon in the doobly-doo. We will be back with part 2 of this episode in not too very long. And in the meanwhile, have a good game.
I just want to say, both in and out of character, I don't trust any of this.